thank you so much for everything that you've done for us, for watching over us, and for blessing us with the fellowship that we have to share with each other tonight. Lord, we want to lift up our veterans, active duty, and retired. And we just ask you to watch over them, to lead them, to guide them, to protect them, and to bless them in their lives, and to just help them heal for those that are hurting. And we ask all these things in your holy name. Amen. Okay, pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag, one of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, play ball.
Thank you, Mike. Another Marine here. All right, welcome everybody. My name is Paul Chappa. I'm the founder of F.I.S.H. So glad you guys are here for our 84th session of this F.I.S.H. Speakers Series. I have some friends here that are visiting. My neighbor Chuck and his lovely wife back there. Some of my outlaw cigar friends are here too. But before we get going, there's something that we always do. We're going to do it again tonight. So, those of you that have attended here before, you know exactly what we're going to do. It's here from the Army. All right. Marine Corps. Woo, there's only a few of them. Come on. Navy. Oh, by the way, we just have a young man that just enlisted in the Navy. Where is he? Maybe he's at the bar. He's training. He's training for the Navy. That's perfect. Perfect. Air Force. Happy birthday, Dan. Happy birthday, Air Force. Yes. Coast Guard. Are you kidding me? Yes, yes. And it's not Ron. It's not Ron. That's awesome. Welcome, welcome. Coast Guard. That's not bad. One person. Space Force. It's going to happen. One of these days, we're going to get Space Force person in here. Welcome, everybody. We're so glad that you're here. Jen, it's good to see your face again. Good to see you. So F.I.S.H., for those of you that don't know, stands for Friends in Service of Heroes. We're a 501c3 based in Olathe that started in 2013. Started out by just a guy wanting to feed our military. And I'm in the grocery industry, so that's how F.I.S.H. started, feeding our troops. One thing led to another. Now we've given away 47 service dogs, life changers, lifesavers with wings. These dogs are amazing. Mobility chairs. Justin, I think we're around 50 or something. Mobility chairs, durable medical equipment, rental assistance, housing assistance. Basically, we go fishing. We go find these individuals that will never ask for any help. Anybody understand that? That's you guys? So we go fishing. We go find them, do a little life with them, figure out what it is that is really going on, what they need. And based on that, that's what F.I.S.H. does. We just step in the gap of doing some things that other organizations, other people should be doing. F.I.S.H. does it. And we do it because we love our troops. Look, we live in the greatest nation on the face of the planet because of those of you that have done this. Raise your right hand to serve our country. So, from someone that did not serve, thank you. Because I don't have to worry about my 4 daughters, my 3 grandkids, because you guys were on the watch. So thank you. That is what F.I.S.H. is all about. I'm going to share a few little things that we've done recently. F.I.S.H. does a lot, but this is recent stuff. So here we are. Beautiful family out in Garden City, Kansas. We heard about this from another F.I.S.H. that said this young family has 5 little kids. He's disabled. He's in a wheelchair. And he can't get back to the backyard because he has no way of getting back there. No sidewalk, no patio. So we put it out there. And lo and behold, a fireman by the name of Thumbs says, here I am. I'll do it. I'll do it. And so Thumbs and his crew poured an incredible patio and sidewalk so Michael could get back there to see his kids playing. And so that was just recent. That was a couple weeks ago. So that was really cool. Next slide. So, you know, organizations oftentimes will reach out to us and say, hey, we're doing this event. We'd love for F.I.S.H. to come out and represent and be a part of it. 9/11, which is a difficult day for all of us, I would say. A young woman called and said, I know it's short notice, but I'd love to have you out there. And so you guys can share the fish news, share some fish tales, etc. Well, this is Stephen. Stephen's not here tonight. Stephen is one of our service dog recipients, and Stephen wanted to do something. It's 9/11. Is there anything I can do? Meet you at Genesis Health Club. And so that was pretty fun. This is a Desert Storm veteran that hadn't put one of those on in a long time. Happened to have it, and he was just smiling from ear to ear. Next picture. So this is something that's coming up November 6th at Black and Beach. We've been a part of Black and Beach's Veterans Day event for about 10 years now. And so if you guys are looking to do something, want to volunteer, let us know, because we could use your help out there. And it's just a fun-filled day. I don't know if we're going to have the Chinooks out there, Justin. I haven't heard that now that they've decommissioned. Don't know, but it'll be a great day. Next slide. So every year we have our annual Christmas with the troops. Again, this is really very, very special because all these young men and women that are serving with kids, struggling. You know, if you're a sergeant, 3 stripes, and you got kids, you qualify for SNAP. That just does not sit well with me. That's just not right. But what we do, we reach out to all these commanders all across the city, as far away as St. Louis, as far away as St. Joe, Manhattan, and we ask commanders for names of some families that have kiddos, that they're struggling a little bit. There may not be a Christmas. When they show up, Santa calls the family name. We'll have some of our elves like Noah Gray, number 83, go Chiefs, hand them an envelope. And last year we gave away $38,000 and some change. It'll be more this year, and they have no clue it's happening. So that's cool. So next slide. All right, so, and this is going to be fun too. A daughter of this gentleman, he has since passed, but she found all of these letters and documents and things, and she created this incredible presentation. So we're going to hear this incredible story of this Battle of the Bulge veteran from his daughter, and it's going to be the first time she's ever sharing it. So it should be very, very moving. It's something that, you know, these speaker series are very cathartic. They're not just, you know, it's like you're unpacking your rucksack that maybe you've carried around for years. Maybe you haven't shared, things like that. And, you know, in order to keep moving forward, you got to unload some of that stuff sometimes. It helps, it makes a difference. But it's not just the speakers that it helps those people in the audience. We've seen families, we've seen kids and grandkids lean over and say, hey, my dad did all that, my grandpa did it. They're calling him up. And the light bulb goes off. That their mom and dad, they are special. They're that 1%er that raised their hand to serve our country. And so this is going to be very special. So let's see, the next slide. That's it. All right, so I'm going to bring up my friend Justin over here. He's going to do a quick intro on something. And then I have a Navy vet that wanted to say something. You can say it from over there. You got to. I'll bring the microphone to you. Face towards the Pentagon, others face away. And so the ones that face towards the Pentagon are in honor of those individuals that were on the plane. They saw the Pentagon coming. And those that face away were the ones that were in the Pentagon. And so, yeah, so every year we go to the chapel. And, you know, everyone has a 9/11 story. But again, you know, thank you guys for, you know, I'm sure there's many of you here in this room that re-enlisted, like my cousin Joe, who is going to be getting out in a few months. He re-enlisted and just retired a couple years ago as a sergeant major with 5th Group Special Forces. You know, we live in the greatest country on the planet. Do you think we could do this in any other country? And it's because of you folks, not just those that wore the uniform, but the spouses and the kids. You know, my friend Jerry over here, another Vietnam veteran, helicopter pilot. You saw your kiddo, one of my best friends, Brent. You didn't even know him until you came home. Yeah. So anyway, thank you, Walt. Justin?
Awesome. Thank you, Paul. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Justin Leifler. I'm on the board of directors next to Paul. But I wanted to touch on a couple important points. Tomorrow is National POW MIA Day. As of right now, there are 82,000 unaccounted for throughout all the wars. And with that, brings a lot of emotion for a lot of people, especially some of the folks from Vietnam and some of the earlier wars, and even some of the more recent wars. And here we get on the touchy subject. September is Suicide Awareness Month. So we're fortunate enough to have a great partnership with the VA and their community engagement team. So here today, we have Patrick Bainbridge, who is a licensed clinical social worker from the VA, who would like to share a few words about some of the resources that they have and they provide. So go right ahead.
Thank you, Justin. Yes, so my name is Patrick Bainbridge. I'm a community engagement partnership coordinator. It's a lot to say there within the suicide prevention program with the Kansas City VA. And I appreciate being here, being able to talk about this just for a couple minutes. It is Suicide Prevention Month, and it's critically important that the community gets involved and stays active in Suicide Prevention Month and helping us support our veterans in the community. My role exists solely because most veterans do not use the VA. And so if we're gonna get the numbers, the data down to zero like we want and need, we have to get the community more involved. And so I get out there into the community, try to spread awareness, work with coalitions, work with organizations that typically don't believe they have a role in veteran suicide prevention. And I provide them education about the veteran community and the military community and why they need to be involved. There's many community partners out there that impact veterans and touch veterans. They just don't know it, so they're not able to provide as effective care as they can, and they're not getting them to those veteran-centric services that mean so much. And so I work with communities to get them to start promoting connectedness for the veteran community, helping veterans transition back into civilian life, work with communities on becoming more competent as far as suicide risk screening. We were here back in April as the featured speaker series and did our Operation SAVE training, signs and symptoms, ask the question, validate, encourage getting help. We need more gatekeepers. We need more people willing to ask that hard question, have you been having thoughts of taking your own life? We need those people out there. We need more of them out there so we can start capturing people, getting them connected to care and get them connected to resources. I have a lot of information back there on my table about the Veterans Crisis Line. We want to get 988 just in general is still not well known enough. We go into so many communities and people have no idea that it's a support line, that it's a help line, and we need more people aware that there is help available 24/7. And that includes the Veterans Crisis Line, 988 press 1. It does not initiate an automatic emergency response. It's for talking and supporting and helping. And if there is a safety issue, those responders are going to get that veteran and that family much needed help. So I have promotional items and things like that back there. I'd be happy to talk to anybody about trainings and getting our staff out there to provide trainings. We're free. We'll do it anywhere, anytime, in person, virtual, whatever fits your needs. We're happy to do that. I have some materials on secure firearm storage. We need more responsible firearm ownership, so please come see me about that and check on each other. Stay connected. Don't wait. Reach out. If you're concerned about somebody, if it's you're just concerned, reach out, connect to them, check in on them, and for yourselves, Don't let like me and Justin were talking about a little bit ago, don't let that check engine light just stay on. If it's on, when it comes on, check in with somebody, get some help, okay? Happy to talk to anybody and everybody after tonight's speaker. And thank you, and appreciate being here.
Thank you. So if you have that veteran that is disconnected, that is just staying at home on the couch, let's track them down. Let's get them involved. Off the couch, out of the house, and re-engaged. All right, so I got my friend over here, Chief, that wanted to say something about the Navy, real quick.
Well, it's not just about the Navy. Chief Warrant Officer, retired Dave Miller from the Navy. I'm the president of the Navy League here in Kansas City. As you are probably aware, this is the 250th anniversary of the Army, the Navy, and the Marine Corps, all created in 1775, before the country was even official. We have asked and received permission to hold ceremonies at Union Station on the 10th and 11th of October. That's Friday and Saturday. We're going to be doing a multi-service flag raising ceremony on Friday morning, and then we go right into admirals and generals speaking. The mayor's going to be there. There's going to be a proclamation issued. We're going to have bands playing both days, and we're going to have high school bands. We're going to have the ROTC kids. We're going to have people speaking out in the Grand Hall. We'll have the recruiters there from the three services. So I wanted to invite you to come down and support the celebration of the anniversary, the 250th anniversary of the three services. Thank you. And I love what Paul does here. I think what he has created is a fantastic thing. And I want to echo the sentiments about the veterans that are dying. I had 3 sailors that I lost. 2 of them were troubled. 1 of them I would have never thought had any issues. And I got a phone call one day that he had shot himself. So please watch out for your fellow veterans. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate that. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I am honored to have our guest speaker tonight, Mr. Chris Crowley. He doesn't want an introduction because he's going to do it himself. So without further ado, here he is, Mr. Chris Crowley.
Going up to 80 knots.
Man, it's going to be a wet race, Fatty. It's going to be just a landing.
90 knots. Everything's real fine. Building just a tad, no lights in, real fine.
Hey, something just hit us in the tail.
It was the best year of my life.
Okay, slow it up, slow it up.
Tail up.
Okay, nice and down now.
Right down.
And it changed all of us. Everyone who flew dust off that I know of was the defining moment of their lives.
Okay, don't worry. Just pull him off the litter when they bring it up.
I was born in 1946 in Southern Pines, North Carolina. My father was a career officer, and as a result, we moved around a great deal. My father graduated in 1942, went to England to train for the invasion of France. He was in the 18th Airborne Corps, also in gliders. He jumped in at Nijmegen in Holland and had a distinguished career. I have a photo of my father, D-Day -1, going into Holland. Hear me out. Good. I'm going to be interrupting this 12-minute documentary put on by Patriot Features and Sean Penn at times. This is my father coming out of an intelligence briefing. He was the intelligence officer for the 18th Airborne Corps. This is the day before, well, actually the day before the afternoon flight into Holland. He's surrounded by his crew. I have to tell you a story about my father, why it's kind of ironic why he is the intelligence officer. He was born to devout Irish Catholic family. He was the oldest son, and his parents decided that he should become a priest. So they send him off to Boston College, which is a Jesuit school. And not long into his studies, he is kicked out of Boston College for impersonating a priest as a practical joke. He couldn't tell his parents what happened. So he tells them, I'm going to enlist as a private in the Army. I think there's a war coming. This is in the 1930s. My father also happens to be an outstanding athlete, both in football as a quarterback and as a hockey player. So on one of the local Army teams he's playing, and some West Point scouts see him playing. So they finagle a way for him to get into West Point. He gets into West Point, the oldest guy in his class, just about to turn 22. He's injured in his first game against Rutgers. West Point is now stuck with him for 4 years. My father accomplishes a very hard feat. He graduates dead last academically, also known as the goat of his class. So that's why they made him the intelligence officer. He was my best friend. I'll talk a little bit more about him. There's another kicker in that story. Well, it's my dad, and that's me when I was in the Merchant Marine. It's my dad, and that's me when I was in the Merchant Marine. Please notice the fawning Air Vietnam stewardesses all around me. It's good to be the general's son. I had a familiarity of what was involved in Vietnam, and I knew it wasn't going to be a happy conclusion. That's why I enlisted to become a dust-off pilot. I knew that they were volunteers to fly unarmed helicopters in Vietnam. I had to go to basic first. That was in September of 1967. I went through basic at Fort Polk, Louisiana, and from Fort Polk went to Mineral Wells, Texas, which is the primary flight school, Fort Walters.
Today, most of the Army's chopper pilots begin their training here at
Fort Walters is in Mineral Wells, southwest of Fort Worth, and Texas farmland. And I became an ace navigator because I discovered two things on my own. One, I flew IFR, which means I follow roads. And two, every small town in that part of Texas has a very large water tower. And on that water tower is the name of the town. Georgia, Hunter Army Airfield for Advanced Flight School. And this was in 1960. In Vietnam, regardless of service or whatever the job was flying a hot hoist mission. A hot hoist mission means you're above the jungle, usually 150, 200 feet. You're in a stationary position, and you're taking wounded out one at a time. One mission, I had to take 6 out, so I was over there for a prolonged period of time. And we would get down, literally cutting off the tops of the trees as low as we could. Dust off, because we didn't have door gunners, lost 3.3 times as many aircraft or lost men killed as other helicopter missions. Of the 12 pilots assigned to our unit, 159th, I flew with 12 who were wounded or killed. Now, how does that work? That means we had replacements. Most of my flying was done with a medic called Randy Milliken and the crew chief, Mark McKenna. They were with me my last 6 months in Vietnam. Randy Milliken was the medic that I flew with all the time, as well as Mark McKenna. Randy went on to write a couple of books, one on the history of dust-off and another a novel that he recently wrote. I'm not here to sell books, but I brought his books just in case someone wanted to put their name in. Maybe we could get him to send you one. Randy has devoted the last 50 years to the service of the state of Texas, both as a fireman, paramedic, EMT, police officer, detective, the liaison with the Secret Service for George Bush, and currently the Emergency Services Director volunteer for Western Texas and Kimball County. Kimball County happens to be just above Kerrville. Kerrville's the town that got flooded so badly. Randy's 78. Randy spent the first day, and his wife is also co-director. So Randy spent his first day, and his team pulled out 16 people. Kelly, his wife, was manning the command post and directed 187 hoist missions, evacuations. They continued to do that day after day after day, even went into the terrible recovery period. Randy was in 1996 voted by the Sons of the American Revolution, Texas Sons of the American Revolution, Police Officer of the Year. The reason I point this out is it shows the dedication of a lot of people, but the dust-off people I flew with, these are the kind of people they were. Thank you. My year in the company of heroes. And in my chapter, I picked a mission. It's getting dusk, we're flying out of Tainan, and it's a LRP team. A LRP team is a long-range reconnaissance patrol. LRPs is probably a lot of you are aware of, just as I said, it was a long-range reconnaissance patrol. They're Army Rangers, which are some of the most highly trained soldiers in all our services. They're six-man teams. They are inserted, heavily armed, with lots of equipment, but not meant to make contact. They're there to gather information, trails, enemy activity, so they can report back. They don't want to make contact because there are only 6 men. If and when they do make contact, that can be a big problem. One of the members, Spec 5, Tom Cahill, was in the landing zone as we came in. I'll describe the mission more later, but he had 106 M79 rounds. He was the M79 gunner. An M79 is like a shotgun. You break it open, you put a round in, and you shoot it. By the end of the evening, he had 4 rounds left. That's the kind of combat it was. So, go ahead, thank you. It's not secure, and we're going in, and then the ground says, we have 2 Cobras coming 5 minutes out. So we're approaching, and this is the only time I ever said this, before or after. I asked Randy and McKenna, are you okay with this? And I knew what they're going to do. They both clicked their mics, unfortunately. So we continue in. But my theory in flying rescue is never sit around, loiter, talk to other people, ask for ground support, ask somebody if you can go in. Time is of the essence, just go. So we don't wait for the Cobras, we start going in. When you're surrounded in 3 sides at 50 yards, everything can go to hell. So we go in, we land. Well, in this case, the wounded are about 50 yards from where we could land. So both Randy and Mark have to run to start getting the wounded on litters. The keys to staying alive flying dust off was get on the ground, load instantly, and get airborne. But I'm sitting on the ground now for like five minutes. I was afraid. I figured this is the mission I die on. I really felt that. It's the first time I ever had that much time to think. And get the guys on board. Tom Cahill pounds on the bubble of the aircraft to get out.
Roll in that little
Sorry. Was that the Air Force? No, okay. All right. Where was I? I contacted Tom Cahill. He was one of the LRPs on the ground. The other was a Lieutenant Palmer. It was his first mission as a LRP. Cahill had a lot of experience. And when I got a hold of him, I said, I would like to get an award for Randy. And he responded in his email. He did write an eyewitness statement, but in his email he goes through, and I was the crazy guy waiting on the ground for you, as you guys came in. And then at the end of it, he says, thank you for saving our lives. So, and he was standing on the skids, still shooting his M79. Come on. But it was miraculous that we didn't take fire while we were on the ground.
Okay, I think you got him.
Well, that was quick.
We made every effort to make sure that whether the person was an enemy, a Viet Cong, a North Vietnamese, I'm sorry guys, the Cobras, when the Cobras arrived, we're still on the ground, and there's two of them. It was a tight perimeter, and they're laying down Gatling guns, minigun fire, and rocket fire right around us. There's ricochets going everywhere, and there's shrapnel coming off the rockets. It's that close, and this is all while Randy and Mark are running back and forth with the litters. Civilians that were treated with dignity and respect, and we respected the sanctity of life. Just back up. Yeah, just before I start talking about the wounded. Okay, right there, yeah.
Well, that was quick.
We made every effort to make sure that whether the person was an enemy, a Viet Cong, a North Vietnamese, a Vietnamese soldier, civilians, we picked up a lot of civilians, that were treated with dignity and respect, and we respected the sanctity of life. We would not tolerate any abuse. And my best example of how we treated everyone was a night mission to pick up a dying young woman who's pregnant, she's hemorrhaging, she's bleeding to death, in weather at night. And we start approaching and we start taking fire. Get her out and get her to the 12th back. 30 minutes later, there's a brand new baby born and the mother lived. That's why we did what we did. I will say, and I will always say, the most important people on our aircraft were the crew chiefs and the medics. I would like to pause because someone showed up who had gone through Mike Williams, whom I'll refer later on. Mike is the military advisor for Sharice Davis, and he referred Pam and your husband, Gary, to me. Her brother was a dust-off crew member, and we were able to get a medal for him engraved with his name on it before he died, as well as a certificate, and I believe the proclamation from the governor as well. And Pam was able to get them to him. He unfortunately passed away very recently and everything. But there's so many, and this is just one. We all have stories like that, but it's rewarding to be able to see people that you've been able to try and help out. So thank you. Go on. Soldier's hand, who's asking, am I going to die, or can you save me? Or having their hands in the middle of their entrails while you're trying to get to the hospital, or putting in multiple IVs and people crying for their mothers and screaming. They're the ones who really face the war at its worst. Arrived in Vietnam the 3rd of January, spent an entire year there, 1969. Spent all 69 there and returned the 3rd of January 1970. I flew over 1,000 missions and rescued over 3,000 wounded. I am not the exception. Anyone who completed their tour in our unit would have done the same thing. We all did the same thing. When I came back from Vietnam, I was, again, the general's son. I was assigned to Crissy Army Airfield, which is the small little World War I airfield right next to the Golden Gate Bridge, and Letterman General Hospital with lots of nurses. So I spent a year there just shuttling patients up to Sacramento, and then I got out and went used the GI Bill, entered school in 1971 in January, and went to USF and got my degree from there. We have a wonderful relationship. She's a wonderful, wonderful wife, and Donna and I have been married for 23 years. And she's a woman of immense. Donna passed away 2 weeks ago today. She would have been here, and she was going to go with me to Washington for the awarding of the medal later this year. Weren't for her strength in keeping me on the straight and narrow. And we have a daughter named Tara and 2 granddaughters named Alice and Kai. Jim Dixon was a warrant officer co-pilot. He came about 6 months after I'd been there, and Jim moved in with me. There's going to be more to this story, but what I'm going to point out is not to impress people, but to tell a little bit about Jim. And even though, in spite of his accomplishments, you'll see at the end what was the most important thing to him. Jim went on to be the first employee of Cellular One, the first president of Cellular One. He went on to be the CEO of Nextel, which sold out to Sprint. He was on the board of directors of numerous corporations. He was a technical advisor to Colin Powell, and had a lot of business achievements. But you're going to find out what was the most important thing to him. Of the war about 10 years ago. 2005, about 8 o'clock in the evening, his wife Sue gives me a call and says, Jim would like to say goodbye. And so Jim and I say our last words. I'm stunned. And the next morning, Sue calls and says Jim passed away surrounded by his family. But during the last 15 or 30 minutes, he was talking about a mission that he was flying. And he's flying it with Crow. That's my nickname, is Crow. He passed away believing that he was trying to save people's lives. 25 years later, his daughter found a letter that Jim had written in 1996, 27 years after Vietnam. This was written in Memorial Day, and I think about my friends and experiences and how vivid my memories are of Vietnam. And one of my first icons and heroes was Chris Crowley, and the best damn dust-off pilot in Vietnam, and I want to grow up and be just like him. It's my proudest document. And I know it sounds like I'm gloating or whatever, but it was just, there's so many of us who could have the same things written about them. For 6 years, there's been this is a group of dust-off pilots in my unit that we get together with. There's 5 Purple Hearts in that group. There's 2 who are, one has incurable illness due to Agent Orange as well. A couple others suffer from Agent Orange. The gentleman on here, I know what to do. Marines, listen up. This is Ted Howard. I'm sorry, Tom Landis. Tom stayed in the Army, became a CW5. When he retired, he was the most senior pilot in the Army. And as thanks, they sent him off to Iraq at age 58 as the senior pilot there. This is Connie Graff. He ended up being the senior pilot for FedEx, and Don Cavaney, who ended up teaching. This is Jim Beeson, whom I'll cover a little bit more later. But Jim was a doctor in the Army. He also was severely wounded, and I'll tell you a little more about them. Thank you. Medal is the nation's oldest, highest, and rarest award for. Yeah, go back. You should have read my mind. No, there we go. This is a presentation at Sharice David's office. This is my wife, Donna, my daughter, Tara, who is here. This is Beth Reynolds, one of the guardians with the honor flight. This is Chelsea Dalbini, who's a guardian also and an historian. Her daughter, Liz, who is also a guardian and at 17 was on the honor flight. My granddaughters, Kai and Alice. And this is Mike Williams, who was kind enough to come here tonight. Mike's the one who took the initiative to set things up so that all of this could come to pass, presenting the medal or whatever. But more importantly to me, Mike's father was in the Air Force, and he was a PJ, which means he flew in Pedros. Pedro was the call sign. Pedro was the counter call sign to dust off. These guys would go in Jolly Green Giants and fly deep into enemy territory. And they, unlike what most of our medics did, they would actually go down in the hoist because there's no one else to help that pilot or crew members that are down there and get them secure and get them back up. As a result, Mike has a medal with Justice Williams, his name inscribed on it, and also a citation, and I think the governor's proclamation. But Justice deserves as much or more, genuinely, the Congressional Gold Medal as anyone. So thank you for being here, Mike. That our nation can bestow. There have only been 187 Congressional Gold Medals ever awarded in this country. We are the first military unit to have been put up for the Vietnam War, and it's for all dust-off crews, anyone who flew dust-off. And the medal, I don't want to belabor the medal, but it is unique historically. As I mentioned, there's only 187 ever presented, first for the Vietnam War. It's the first Congressional Gold Medal awarded to any unit since World War II. The first person to get it was George Washington for kicking the British out of Boston in 1776. Other people who received it were like John Paul Jones. Aviation-related people are the Wright brothers, Charles Lindbergh, Neil Armstrong, the Tuskegee Airmen, the Doolittle Raiders, and that's about the which? The WASP. There we go. I'm sorry. Thank you. This is. I'll talk more about Brenda. No, thank you. And most importantly, yeah. So continue on. Thank you. And the people who got this Congressional Gold Medal are the medics and crew chiefs, many of whom were never ever decorated, and they did as much or more than some of these highly visible and more decorated people. So men like Randy Milliken, Jim Dixon, who all flew over 1,000 missions, were never recognized. And they didn't ask to be. The reward was in itself. It's a true brotherhood. It's hard to explain to other people, but it's a bond. We're very proud of what we did. We're glad what we did. We're one of the lucky ones who were able to choose what we wanted to do, and it was rewarding. John Wills is the person who, with State Farm, funds some of the Patriot Features productions, and he's the one who funded this. I met John on an honor flight. He was also a Guardian, but besides being a full-time business person. He was on an honor flight, and shortly thereafter, I got a call from him and said, you know, I've got something called Patriot Features and Sean Wynn, and might you consider him doing a feature, and I did, and that's kind of where it all started for us. And so thank you very much, John, for what you continue to do. Okay. I talked about my father jumping into Holland, and there's a movie called A Bridge Too Far, which I can discuss a little bit more later. But in A Bridge Too Far, the 82nd and parts of the 101st go in by gliders and jump in. The 82nd's goal was to take the Nijmegen Bridge. The Nijmegen Bridge is a major railroad and heavy-wheeled vehicle bridge. It was crucial for the Americans, if they could take the bridge, to get their supplies going in deeper into Germany. The Germans had wired with high explosives the entire bridge. So there's heavy pillboxes on each side of the bridge. And I've been to Nijmegen. It's low, as you can see on the other side, it's a low bank on both sides. You're open to fire. The way they had to get across were in these flimsy canvas boats. If you can imagine an army cot with canvas on it and wood, that's the structure of what these things were like. There were 26 boats, 520 paratroopers who got in, and they forgot one thing. There are no paddles. So you're seeing them paddling across the river in a current across. 48 were killed and 80% were casualties. But the balance of those, I'll tell you afterwards. But there you go again. Yes, sir. Back. Yes, back to Robert. There you go. Okay. How many of you Marines have Robert Redford take your position in movies? Anyway, this is in the movie A Bridge Too Far. This is Robert Redford using his rifle to cross. And throughout the entire crossing, he's saying Hail Marys, one after another, as they, out loud as they cross it. If you ever haven't seen the movie, this gives a really good depiction of what it was like. They get to the other shore and were able to work their way up to the bridgehead, and amazingly, the Germans didn't get a chance to detonate the bridge, and they were able to capture the bridge. The British were not so lucky. The British were in Arnhem, which is upriver, and there were 10,000 British. They were surrounded by the Germans. They lost 1,485 men, and again, about 80% casualties out of 10,000. It was a terrible defeat for them. The 82nd tried to start moving up toward them, but it's too late. Oh, brandy. And my father hands him the keys to the horse. Oh, brandy. And my father hands him the keys to the horse. It was the most valuable car there. He goes back after the war. I don't know if it's just because he sold the car, but he becomes the head of the largest shipping company in Belgium, and becomes the CEO and president of Sabena Airways, which is the national airway for Belgium. And the reason there's a picture here is I happen to be in Springfield, Missouri, where there's a wonderful car museum, and I'm sauntering through, and I start looking, and this catches my eye, this on that plaque it says this was retrieved by American forces, came over to the United States, was somehow it got in the hands of someone in South or North Dakota, and sat in his basement for 55 years untouched. So it's in perfect condition. But my story is, that's my dad's car and Marcel's. And it could well be. And that's the best picture I've ever had taken care of me. For 6 years, there's been a bill in front of Congress, the Congressional Gold Medal, that required 2/3 of the House and 2/3 of the Senate, which you never get. The Senate got 2/3 and then ended up passing it unanimously. The House was a whole different story. So we went to Washington to knock on every single congressperson's door. And the long story short is, amazingly, the required vote was 290 to have 2/3, and we ended up like 370 or so. So these are the gentlemen that I was with. This is Ted Howard, another pilot with me. Ted was shot through both legs. He was with a dear friend called, his name was Doug McNeil. Doug was shot through the chest by a 51. The aircraft flipped on his side. Mark McKenna and Ted's shot through both legs. He's in the bottom of the aircraft. The aircraft is now on fire. Mark McKenna, another the medic named Chili. Mark had been shot through the femur, had no femur. Were able to get Ted out of the bubble before the aircraft burned. But he has a few scars from the war. This is at Shreese David's office. I'm sorry, at the Governor Kelly's office. Chelsea Daldini, who's the historian who does all this research and everything, puts together brochures so each one of the veterans has a record, even more than they knew what they did. But I gave an engraved medal to Governor Kelly, which she wore all day, and that proclamation declares April 15th, from now, I hope forever, as Dust-Off Day. This is Sharice Davids, and I've already pointed out Mike Williams. That's Senator Moran, Senator Moran, oops, I'm sorry, I should have told you. Kind enough to make a presentation at the VFW out in Lenexa. And I thought he just would drop by and talk, but he didn't. He talked by, he's an ad-lib speaker, but he'd done his homework, his staff had prepped him and everything, and it was a very meaningful presentation. This is me giving our medal to him with his name engraved on it. And it's Becky Johnson, Michelle, is it Michelle? Yeah, okay. This, I called you Becky. This is Michelle Polston. Michelle is the head of Veterans Affairs for Senator Moran in the state of Kansas. She's the one that helped put this together as well, and she's very active in Veterans Affairs. And she's just, some people kind of go through the motions of government jobs, and some people really take a genuine interest. The fact that she could even take the time to be here tonight is a real honor. Honor Flight. I'm sure many of you are familiar with the Honor Flight. Perhaps you've already gone, but if not, I'm a quasi-representative. I spread the word. I've gone twice. I can't encourage you more. A lot of guys I run in and say, oh, I don't want to do it. I don't deserve it. It's too much of a hassle. I'm too sick. Well, every single person of the 85 guys that go on each Honor Flight has a guardian assigned to them, regardless of what their health is. There's zero out of pocket. When I mean zero, you don't have to spend a dollar. They pay for everything. Everyone who works for the Honor Flight does it gratis. They're all people who have full-time jobs. They're all deeply interested in history, and they are just, not only it's one day. We leave at 5 in the morning, come back at 10 at night, out of Kansas City and into into Reagan. Pardon me? Sometimes. That's two. But stop right there. Thank you. With us tonight is Beth Reynolds, one of the guardians. This is Chelsea. She's the historian that puts together these all the bios. This is Jim Beeson. You can see two of them are in wheelchairs right now. And I've already told you about the others. And this is Kelsey Simmons, who started this all off by meeting my granddaughter and talking her to talk me into going on the Honor Flight. But it's a friendship. It's not just one day, is my point. It becomes a lifelong friendship, I believe. There are a number of days that are involved in this step. It's really easy. All you have to do is provide your DD-214 and fill out one form. To a person who has gone after I've recommended it to them, they have all said it's one of the best days they ever had in their life. This is part of the Honor Flight. This is Randy Milliken, again, the medic, and author, et cetera, et cetera. I was asked who out of the group you might recommend to present the wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier, a very high honor. The other person next to him is Steve Wilk. You may have crossed paths with Steve Wilk. He's got a Patriot Features as well. He was the most severely wounded on the Pueblo, which is the ship that was captured by the North Koreans in 1969. But that's my proudest moment of the trip, was being able to see Randy present the wreath. He was deeply moved. Yes, this is just an interview from Channel 4.
Who couldn't be saved. He's also saying prayers for his dust-off medevac unit, who suffered 3 times the losses in their QEs than other military helicopters.
God was with him. I feel many emotions with him, and he was killed. Took a 50 round through the chest, and his aircraft flipped.
For Crowley, the traveling wall a first chance to really focus on the lives lost.
I'm proud of the men that I served today, and where this is blessed, I come here to honor these men. Because of men like this and people on the wall, that there aren't many more people like that.
And after first.
Yeah. Yes, please. I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. This is Shrapnel. This is Randy's dog. Shrapnel flew many missions with us. Randy went through the process, proper military procedure, and submitted Shrapnel for the Air Medal. The name he submitted was Private First Class E.D. Shrapnel. And one thing after another, and Shrapnel was in fact awarded the Air Medal, the actual certificate, and so and it's just a dear person to have along. This is the book you're probably also all familiar with, Lou Eisenbrandt. Lou is a nurse in Vietnam, has done a great deal over many years of spreading the word for the VA, for nurses, for Parkinson's disease. She, because of Agent Orange in 2004, came down with Parkinson's. 21 years later, she's still doing book reviews and supporting people. I went on the honor flight with her. She gladly accepted the medal with her name engraved on it. And to me, probably the most heroic people were the young Vietnam nurses. When I went to medical training at Fort Sam, 200 brand new nurses arrived the same day, fresh out of college from all across the country. And within 2 or 3 months, they were going to be facing the horrors of Vietnam, and the job that they did was incredible. This is Lou and myself at the Women's Memorial in Washington. This is a facetious to lighten things up a little bit. When Jim passed away, Christine and Sue, his wife and daughter, asked me if I would do some things for Memorial and maybe a couple of videos. So I did 2, one sort of lighthearted. To explain this a little bit, do any of you have any issues from your service in the military and combat, but you're about to see here? This is a Montagnard bow. A Montagnard bow, they belonged to the mountain cave Stone Age people in the hills, mountains of Vietnam, and would actually support us. So that was their weapon. It's a Montagnard bow. These are the arrows and the quiver, and why I'm wearing that, I don't know. So this is meant to be, this is true, but if any of you have any issues you might identify, you'll understand what I mean in a moment. Go ahead.
Some of us still have issues. Oh yeah, the following is the mostly true account of Flatbush's first night in Cu Chi, referred to ever since as the Night of the Lieutenant. Jim had been assigned to Lieutenant Kurtz's hooch. Although still monsoon wet behind the ears and somewhat neurotic, the lieutenant generously offered to show Flatbush the ropes. After giving Jim the FNG, or Frigging New Guy tour of the 159th area, they settle in for the night. Lieutenant Kurtz tells Flatbush, if something happens, do what I do. Sure enough, a couple hours later, wham, 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 incoming. nothing uncommon. Jim sits bolt upright on his cot. He can make out the lieutenant fumbling for a flashlight, donning a steel helmet, and charging, head down, for the locked door. On impact, Jim's mentor careens backwards, falling dazed. Jim, a very analytical sort and a quick study, sizes up the situation. Should he follow protocol, put on the lieutenant's still spinning helmet, and charge the locked door? Instead, he assists the stunned, addled, and somewhat cross-eyed officer to the bomb shelter. Jim moves out the next day. Having no choice, he moves in with me. 3 months later, he moves out. Go figure. Yeah, please.
This is the other video that I did, and this describes Jim Dixon's last mission. This is the mission that he was reliving as he breathed his last.
The morning of Jim's passing, Sue called to tell me that, in his last words, he believed we were flying together, an honor I did not deserve. Jim was much closer to Randy Milliken, Jim Hetty, Tom Landis, and Jim Beeson. Dusk, the 6th of September, 1969. Spoon, our medic, unplugs and scrambles to carry an urgent U.S. to the aircraft. Green NVA 51 caliber tracers, like Roman candles, arc toward us in a deceptively and deadly slow motion. The covering Cobra gunship's pilot gets shot. We are now without air support. Then Spoon gets hit, but makes it onto the aircraft. The lone casualty is killed. Spoon will be awarded the Silver Star. As we depart, Jim and I are both on the controls should one of us get hit. Jim is monitoring the now erratic gauges. We fly low in case the transmission seizes to give us a chance to auto-rotate. We make it to the 12th evac. Many of our dust-off unit have arrived at the helipad. The transmission suddenly seizes and the rotor blades come to a grinding halt. Sergeant Canoyer, our terrific maintenance NCO, points with genuine glee at a clearly visible 51 caliber bullet hole dead center in the transmission. Jim and I were the aircraft maintenance officers under Sarge's watchful eye. The aircraft is a total loss. Because dust-off has priority, we have a new aircraft the next day. There is no one I would have rather had next to me that day than Jim Dixon.
Stop. I referred to Jim Beeson before, and he went on our last honor flight. We knew he was dying, he knew he was dying, but it's the honor flight that, and knowing he was going to be able to go with us, that kept him alive. This is Jim at the wall being interviewed by Morgan Mobley, who also works with Mark and Brenda. And I'll let it speak for itself. To me, this kind of says it all.
All over again in a heartbeat.
America's worth it. She's worth it. We don't talk too much about our stories unless we're around other guys like this who really understand. The rest of the time, you're wasting your breath.
What does that do for you when you're able to talk about your? What does that do for you when you're able to talk about your story with these other guys?
It's amazing. I mean, it's really kind of like an end of the story. You know, there are an awful lot of us who are ending our story anyway because they want to of the best way to go out. Cross over the other side, these guys already have. Wait till again.
We'd do it again. Next last shot. Jim passed away a few months afterwards, but the honor flight and the experience and the memories he had and was able to share made his passing in that time bearable. I want to thank you all for listening to my friend's story, and thank you.
Chris, I'm sure there's some questions for you, so don't go too far. Any questions? Anyone have a question, comment for Chris? Show of hands. Anyone?
My mic's still on?
It is still on.
I would like to point out Brenda and Mark Lee. They are affiliated with Channel 9. He's the photojournalist. He accompanied us on the entire honor flight from beginning till end. That clip with Jim, along with many, many other clips, were filmed by Mark. He did a superb 22-minute presentation of the honor flight for Memorial Day, this past Memorial Day. It's available on YouTube. Anyone who ever wants to see what an honor flight is really like, Mark truly captured it. I shouldn't say his wife, his better half, Brenda. Brenda is also involved in aviation. She's become good friends of ours. She's an expert in anything aviation-wise, and I love to say this, among other things, they have a plane in their backyard. That's how enthusiastic they are. She is the vice president of the International Aviation Aerobatics Championships. One of the planes she's flown is now in the Smithsonian. But they're just terrific people, and they've been real supporters throughout. I want to make sure that I haven't missed anyone. There are a number of neighbors that are here, and I deeply appreciate their being here as well. And that's it. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Chris. One thing that Chris didn't share with you all is he also is recipient